Yes, as I mentioned before, I was going to install an extra line on the predominantly single bi-directional freight line. So I've added the extra turnout and the piece of track in. So where the freight line of 57 is now, that is on the new line that I've just laid. So you can see that comfortably fits the whole train in there. And then obviously one can pass in the direction on the other line just behind it. And then if we look at the rear end of the train there, you can see where that now joins into that turnout there, which then takes us onto the bi-directional freight line, but also with all the various crossovers there, you can access the up and down main lines as well. And then I've put the point in there that I was talking about, which will be ready for the head shunt there, which means I can shunt trains in and out of the yard without interfering with the bi-directional freight line. So that just needs realigning now, and the next phase is to start connecting all these points and track up ready for the yard. So there we go, that's the points to the entrance of the engineer's yard laid. Put the droppers in, they're ready to feed what will be a couple of sidings coming off there, which will just need connecting up. And I've just laid 3 lengths or 4 lengths of track all together there now, just to test and make sure everything's okay before we go any further. That was a fairly successful test there, just to establish that the 08 would run okay over those electro-frog points. It did cut out a couple of locations when I was doing some other runs, but it would even do that on a straight section of track, so that's probably more down to the loco and the pickups itself. But what I need to do now is put insulating joiners on several sections of track so that we don't get any shorts. So the power feed that comes into the yard is just there. That brings us round to the first turnout. So I will have insulating joiners just there, insulating joiners on that loop, and the same again on this loop here, and then on the 2 sidings just down here. So that should stop me any conflicts. I've also got insulating joiners just there, because on that section of track there, where the little V is in the centre of the screen there, obviously there'd be a conflict there with a positive and negative meeting, if you like. So I've had to insulate those as well. And then as we come back down here, there's a power point going into there. And then as I come into the next loop, and then what will be a long side in here, both of those will need to be insulating joiners. So again, we don't get a conflict on the V there. And then as we come down the other end of the yard, basically the same will occur down here. So there'll be a power point going into there, which will power that run round loop. Insulating joiners on the section there that will take you those two sections of track, which will both be powered individually going into the wagon works. Insulating joiners again on each end of the loop, and then one power point going in on the head shunt. So I better get on with that. So that's the points all pinned down at the entrance to the yard there. Track sections laid in. Measured and cut the gaps that takes us up to the points at the other end of the yard and the head shunt there. Holes drilled for the dropper wires. Insulating joiners in the relevant sections. Dropper wires all cut. So now time to get a bit of soldering done, get those connected up to the track sections. So there we go then, all the track is now laid into the yard. So we have the entrance line coming in, branches off there, 3 long loops, what will be 2 sidings there ultimately, but obviously while I've still got the K2 Unitrack in there, I can't extend that siding there at the moment. Then we have turnout there going into quite a long siding, track in front of it being the run round loop, takes us up the other end of the yard. 2 more sidings there which will possibly be the wagon repair depot, but obviously we'll hold some wagons either way. And then the head shunt at the end for the locos. And nicely timing. Just had my Scotch lock clips arrive from Railway Scenics. So I've got all the droppers in place, but now I can connect those up to the bus wire. So that's my job now. So that's all the droppers connected to the bus wire, and providing my wiring's all correct, when I throw the switch we shouldn't get any shorts. So far so good, so let's go and try some locos now. So yes, as you saw there, had the 08, a 66 and a 37 running up and down the yard, various sidings, loops to make sure everything works, and there was no tripping out, no shortages or anything like that. The 08 did stop a couple of times, but I basically put that down to the fact either that the bit of track it was on was a bit too dirty, or the fact that I haven't pinned any of the track down yet. I wanted to make sure everything was fine before I did that. But otherwise, certainly as far as using the electro-frog points goes, that was definitely the right way to go because the 08s run over them fine. So yeah, very happy with the yard. Can start filling that with a few of the engineering wagons now. So what's next to do then? Well, there's only one more remaining project to do track-wise as such on the layout, and that's to get the turntable and associated sidings and shed for the heritage line done, which is just behind you off camera at the moment. I'm not going to rush into that too much yet. There's lots of other little jobs and general housekeeping I need to do on the layout. Those couple of places I've mentioned previously where I'm getting shorts with certain types of stock. I've been looking into that and I think I know the solution to that now. So that'll involve a little bit of the track coming up, a few little isolating joiners putting in and maybe a couple of dropper points so to give me sort of more breaks in the track. But other than that, I'll probably just carry on with a bit more running. Need to get a few more locos chipped, I think, and then just keep everything running and making sure I'm happy with the layout and I've got no issues with derailments. I'm happy with how things can cross between one track and the other. So enough to keep me interested basically before we actually go down the stage of actually starting to put any ballast or scenery or anything like that around. So that about wraps things up for this June update. I hope you found it interesting and liked it. And if you did, just spare me a moment to give me that thumbs up down below. Comment as well if you like, and I'll get back to you on that. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe for updates to not only the model railway, but all my trips out on the main line as well. But in the meantime, I'll say thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.